Welcome everyone, ready to take a deep dive. Today we're looking at the Bharatiya consumer, a generational study.
From PhonePe and Dentsu.
Right, PhonePe and Dentsu. Really interesting stuff about how different generations in India, engage with the digital economy.
Their aspirations, how they behave, how it all translates into spending.
Exactly, spending patterns, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And with PhonePe's reach, they've got what, over 575 million users?
Yeah, 575 million users,
Yeah.
plus over 40 million merchants.
It's crazy, right? Tons of data.
And it's all aggregated, no personal info, just to be clear.
Of course. Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting how they used the term Bharatiya in this report.
Yeah, Bharatiya, it captures something specific about the Indian consumer, I think. Not just demographics, but like the whole cultural, social side of things,
Absolutely. It's not just numbers, right? It's the whole picture. So they break it down into 3 generations, right? Gen Z, Gen Y, and Gen X.
Yep. Gen Z, that's 12 to 27 years old. Then Gen Y, 28 to 43. And Gen X, the 44 to 60 group.
And each generation, they've got their own story to tell.
Absolutely. You can see it in how they spend their money. Like Gen Z, they're spending the most on food and beverages, retail, hospitality.
Or experiences, right. They're all about experiences.
Makes sense when you consider they're the ones who are always doing those small, frequent transactions, like constantly buying stuff.
Yeah, like grabbing a coffee, picking up some new clothes, all those little things. But, and this is interesting to me, their spending value actually changes quite a bit between big cities and smaller towns.
Oh, that's a great point. It does, doesn't it? Shows how aspirations and access to, digital services are evolving differently, urban versus rural.
Something to think about.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's get into these personas, the ones they highlighted in the report. Gen Z first. We've got Sia, the young socialite. She loves shopping, loves those nice restaurants.
Right, and then there's Sunny, the cinema buff, loves to shop, loves the movies, classic combo.
And of course, we can't forget Ritz, the party animal, always out with friends, traveling, and yeah, you guessed it, more shopping.
Yeah. But it's not just about the spending itself. These personas tell you something about their values too. Like Sia. She spends more on healthcare and wellness than other Gen Z folks. Shows that self-care is important to her.
Yeah, totally. It's like you're looking at different lifestyles. So what do you think? Are these personas accurate? Do they really represent Gen Z?
I think they capture a good snapshot. I mean, Gen Z is pretty diverse, right? It's just a way to understand general trends, not like predict what every single person is doing.
Right, makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears to Gen Y. Now, their spending is spread out a bit more. We see it in entertainment, financial services, even commuting.
Interesting. They seem to be, trying to enjoy the present, but also thinking about the future, that kind of balance.
Definitely. They're not just doing those small, frequent transactions like Gen Z. They're also making bigger, more thought-out purchases, especially when it comes to financial stuff.
Right, right. It's reflected in those personas they came up with for Gen Y, too. You've got Zoya, the value seeker, big on investing, but also likes to shop and have fun.
Yep. Then there's Tim Taming, the market hustler. This guy, he's always doing something, constantly making transactions, whether it's financial services or even agriculture, always on the move.
And last but not least, Karthik, the lifestyle enthusiast. He loves good food, good drinks, but also puts money into financial services, a bit of retail, the whole package.
Interesting how all these Gen Y folks are already thinking about the future, though. Investing, planning ahead. Says a lot about their long-term vision.
Definitely does. Makes you think, which one are you? Where do you fit in with these Gen Y spending trends? Value seeker, market hustler, or are you living it up like Karthik?
Maybe a little bit of each, right? Depends on the day. But let's move on to Gen X. This generation seems to know what they want. High-value categories are their focus: financial services, healthcare, agriculture.
Right. And get this. Their spending actually goes up as town size goes down, kind of the opposite of what we see with the other generations.
Whoa, that is fascinating. What do you think is going on there?
I don't know, maybe economic development and access to financial services in rural areas are playing a part. It's definitely something to dig into deeper.
For sure. Okay, so let's meet the Gen X crew. First up, we've got Mrs. Chatterjee, the savvy shopper. She's all about retail therapy, but she's also smart with her investments.
Then there's Fernando Uncle, the indulgence connoisseur. Loves to treat himself, good food, drinks, travel, gifts, really living the good life.
Sounds like a fun guy to hang out with. Next, we've got Shalini Didi, the prudent investor. Commutes a lot and definitely prioritizes financial security.
And then there's Anil Kaka, the foodie extraordinaire, a man after my own heart. He's passionate about food, clearly, but also invests in precious metals. Interesting combo.
And we can't forget Geetha Akka, the traditional investor. She's heavily involved in agriculture and, like Anil Kaka, drawn to gold and silver. Seems like those precious metals are still a big deal for this generation.
Definitely. It's interesting how Gen X kind of blends those traditional and modern spending habits, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like Mrs. Chatterjee, she's all about that online shopping, but she prefers to spend more offline in general. Whereas Fernando Uncle, he's embraced the digital world for all those indulgences.
And finally, we have Ranjit Virji, the luxury aficionado, loves retail, agriculture, entertainment, art, antiques. He's got it all going on.
It's amazing how adaptable they are. They've seen so much change technology-wise, but they haven't shied away from the digital world. They found a way to make it their own.
Yeah, really impressive. So what surprised you the most about Gen X's spending behavior?
Honestly.
Yeah.
Their comfort with blending those traditional and modern habits, like you said.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to invest in gold and silver, but they're also open to using digital platforms for financial services or even buying, luxury goods online. It's a really unique mix.
Totally agree. It challenges the stereotype of older generations being resistant to technology. Speaking of technology, the report also had some interesting findings about gender and payment mode trends across all the generations.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so one thing they found was that while men tend to do more transactions overall, women actually have a higher spending value in some categories.
Really? Like which ones?
Particularly in healthcare and wellness.
Huh. Interesting. So it's not always the men who are, making the big financial decisions in Indian households.
Exactly. It challenges that traditional assumption. Shows how important it is to actually look at the data and not just rely on stereotypes.
For sure. Okay, now let's talk about online spending. No surprise there. It's growing fast, especially with Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah, they've grown up with the internet, right? Smartphones are like an extra limb for them.
Practically. But what I found interesting is that even Gen X is getting into online transactions.
Right. They didn't grow up with all that, but they're embracing it, especially for things like financial services or even luxury items.
It really shows how accessible and, well, user-friendly these digital platforms have become. It's not just about convenience anymore.
Definitely not. It's about trust and security, too.
Yeah.
People need to feel confident that their money is safe.
Exactly. And I think that's something businesses really need to focus on, creating those seamless and secure digital experiences that work for everyone.
Absolutely. The digital divide is shrinking, but we need to make sure everyone can participate fully in the digital economy. No one left behind, right?
Right. Okay, so we've talked about generational trends, gender differences, the rise of online spending. What does it all mean for businesses? How do they connect with the Bharatiya consumer with all this in mind?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that a one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't cut it anymore.
Makes sense. You got to be more specific.
Yeah, businesses need to be agile, respond to what each generation needs and wants. It's different for everyone.
Okay, so give me some examples. How would a brand target Gen Z differently from Gen X?
Sure. So if you're going after Gen Z, you might focus on social media campaigns, stuff that feels personal, gives them that instant gratification.
Right, like interactive content, influencer marketing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mobile first, for sure.
Exactly. But Gen Y, they're a bit different. They're digitally savvy, but they're also worried about financial security.
So what works for them?
Well, brands could highlight value for money, long-term benefits, maybe create a sense of community.
Okay, like loyalty programs, subscriptions, content that talks about their goals, their dreams for the future.
Exactly. Now, Gen X, they're kind of the bridge between the digital and the traditional.
Right, so how do you reach them?
For them, trust and reliability are key. You want to offer a mix of online and offline experiences. Things like personalized recommendations, marketing across different channels, messaging that emphasizes experience and heritage.
Don't forget traditional media, too. They still watch TV, read newspapers.
Right. So it's all about understanding the nuances of each generation and tailoring your approach. But I think there's more to it than just demographics.
What do you mean?
I think to really connect with the Bharatiya consumer, you need to tell a story.
A story.
Yeah, each of these personas, they have their own story, right? Their aspirations, their values, the things that drive their behavior. If brands can tap into those stories, connect with consumers on that emotional level, That's where the magic happens.
Because it's not just about selling a product or service.
No, it's about understanding the people behind the transactions, their dreams, their motivations, their challenges. It's about creating a connection that feels real, that resonates with their lives.
I like that. It's about making it personal. And this report gives you the tools to do that, right?
Exactly. It's like a roadmap for the Indian consumer market. It helps you understand what makes them tick.
It's amazing how much information is packed into this study.
Yeah.
And the fact that PhonePe and Dentsu made it accessible to everyone.
Yeah, that's huge. They know how important it is to share these insights. It's about empowering businesses and individuals to really understand the Bharatiya consumer.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground today. Generational spending habits, gender differences, online spending, storytelling. It's been a whirlwind.
It has. But we've only scratched the surface.
I know, right? There's so much more to explore.
Oh.
And for anyone who wants to keep learning, definitely check out the full report.
And the PhonePe Pulse platform, don't forget that. Tons of data and insights there.
You know, we've been focusing on the differences between these generations, but I'm starting to see a common thread that connects them.
Oh, absolutely. Despite all the differences, there's something powerful that unites them.
What is it?
Their optimism, their belief in a brighter future for India. It's inspiring.
I see it now. Gen Z's excitement for new things. Gen Y's focus on financial security. Gen X's ability to adapt to change. It's all about progress, about hope.
Exactly. They're not just consumers, they're builders, creators, dreamers. They're shaping the future of India. They're not just embracing the digital economy, they're using it to build a better tomorrow.
Their energy is contagious. They really believe they can make a difference.
And they are making a difference. The Bharatiya consumer is a force to be reckoned with, not just in India, but globally.
So it's bigger than just market insights. It's about understanding a nation on the rise, their diversity, their resilience, their optimism.
It's been a privilege to dive into this with you.
Absolutely. And thanks to everyone listening for joining us on this journey.
We hope it sparks some new ideas, maybe giving you some valuable insights.
And maybe even a new appreciation for the power of the Indian consumer.
And hey, if you want to keep exploring, remember PhonePe Pulse is out there waiting for you.
Dive in, check out the data, uncover those incredible stories. It's not just about market data. It's like we're getting a glimpse into the heart of India.
Right. This energy, this drive to make things better.
And as we wrap up, I just want to say it's been awesome diving into all this with you.
Likewise. Thanks to everyone for listening in, being part of this exploration of the Bharatiya consumer.
Hopefully we've sparked some new ideas along the way, maybe giving you a fresh perspective.
And if you're hungry for more, you know where to find it. PhonePe Pulse has got you covered.
Absolutely. Tons of data and stories just waiting to be discovered. So, as we sign off, one last thought to leave you with. What role will you play in shaping the future alongside the Bharatiya consumer?
Until next time, keep exploring.